We are here with Bill Chignola, president of the Framingham Artists Guild, to talk about his work here at the gallery at Access Framingham. Thank you, Bill, for coming in.
Appreciate being here. I know it's taken me a long time to get here.
Yes, you are actually the first person I asked when we
know.
talked about doing a gallery.
It was, and I kind of put it off. But I'm here today, and that's what counts.
So, how did you end up in Framingham?
Years ago, when I first went to work for Raytheon, back in the 50s, I was driving up from Quincy, through the Blue Hills, through the old 128. Hadn't been expanded to 4 lanes, and it was a nightmare. And in the winter times, I had several near-death collisions. And one Sunday, I was coming home and I threw a wheel, literally. And you have no brakes, you have nothing, and that was it. I went home and I said, Jane, we got to move. And we came out, found a place here in Framingham. Been in it ever since.
And have you always been an artist, or did this come?
No, I started in my teens drawing and doing a little painting. I had an uncle who was a commercial artist who gave me some very informative, basic tricks in painting. I always admired his work as a watercolorist. I could not manage it. But I got into oils. I grew up through the era of Bill Alexander and Bob Ross on TV, learned that method. But I basically was trained. I went through college as an engineer and went to work for Raytheon and spent my life there. And literally toward the end, I got involved with the Tough University's outreach program called On Your Own Time, and started getting back into art by putting up shows at Raytheon. And when I retired, I said, hey, I have an opportunity here. I think I'm going to go to school. Looked up the catalogs over at Keefe Tech, and they had watercolor. That's where I went. And I spent the next 20-odd years going. And that's it. That's what got me back into the arts. I have 2 careers. One was my engineering, and secondly is the artwork. And I don't think I'll ever leave it.
So, looking at your work, I would say you have an eye for perspective. You see a lot of reflection and water, and you have very interesting angles as well. Do you see that when you go out to photograph, or do you find it later?
Well, no, it's something that I do look for. I've always looked for 2 things in my art. One is perspective and angularity. Oh, and if you get it wrong, it jumps right out at you. But angularity has always been a prime pusher. Secondly is contrast. I love contrast. The more contrast, the better. Down the end, you'll see 2 small pieces. One is called the boat shed, which shows reflections in the water, and the second one above it is called the 3 men on a skipjack. And the contrast between them in the background is what fascinated me with that picture.
You kind of answered this, but why watercolor?
Watercolor is a challenge. Oils, you can smear the canvas with oils and put over it, put your contrast in any color range you want, and if you have to put in a highlight, you can put it in last. In watercolor, you can't. You have to plan your highlights first, because that's the basic paper. There's no paint on it. That's the whitest white you can get. So the contrast from basic white to black is through the range of all the colors, but you got to start from the basic paper. It's a challenge. It really is a challenge. And people for years told me, if you make a mistake, you can't fix it. That's not true. It's a myth. There's a lot of things you can do with watercolor that, are basically the same as anything. In oils, you could just scrape the canvas off and start again. You can't quite do that with watercolor, but you can make repairs, depending on the size of the paper. I say size, thickness. 140 pound is good work, good working paper. 300 pounds even better. Sucks up paint like crazy, but you can work it. You can change it. You can suck the paint out by putting more water in and blotting it. There's all kinds of tricks you can use, but it's a challenging medium. that's the reason I'm in it.
How do you feel the relationship has been over the last few years with the Framingham Artists Guild?
And you? Excellent. I would not, I'm very happy that we have this outlet. Very happy. The biggest problem I have these days, kind of pushy, I keep looking for new venues, but I try to keep the old. In some cases we've lost them, in some cases they've been, very good, as you people have, in keeping us pretty much in the forefront. And that's always good. There's nothing more than exposure in this stuff, and that's exactly what we need. Through the years, I've seen so much improvement, and it's because of not just the exposure that we're getting, but the fact that we've opened up the Guild to on two occasions, mostly Wednesday mornings through the afternoon, for people to come in and paint. People all, including myself, have the same complaint. We never have enough time to paint. And if you can get out of the house and get someplace and set up and go, it's a big deal. It really is. We have the most eclectic group of people I've ever seen. We run all the way from fabric art to some sculpture, photography, you name it, we got it. And that's great.
Well, thank you, Bill, for coming in.
Been a pleasure, really has.
And if you folks will wait right there, there'll be more of the Framingham Beat when we come back.